Wheels don't have wings. Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche Postgame Show, live from the Toyota Lounge, back in the Winners Lounge, powered by your Front Range dealerships, and presented by Bet365. Bailey and Rudo coming to you as the Avs shut out the Wings in a 5-0 win. You get key contributions from a number of guys you were looking for. What's not to love?
Is Marty Necas the problem?
Come on. It is funny that's how this worked
hilarious.
out, though.
No, this is about as good of a rebound as you can get after the horrid back-to-back situation. You get Nathan MacKinnon back on the board. First player to 40 goals this season, which is huge.
Probably should have had a hat trick, but shanked one.
Yeah, taking a few notes from Cale Makar in that department.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mackenzie Blackwood's third shutout of the season. It doesn't get much better when you're looking for and like obviously there's some nuances in this game. Maybe not their best hockey overall, but what's not to love from a 5-0 win?
Yeah, I think it's hard to judge the quality of hockey necessarily in this game from Colorado as a whole. Because you score twice in the first period and then you score immediately in the second period and you're up 3-0 and you kind of just coast it home. Yeah. That's what making your life easier looks like, right? You don't have to have the A game today because you capitalized on your early chances.
Yeah, that's the position that they put themselves in. It comes down to the reactivity and being able to play off of the situation you put yourself in, right? And as we mentioned in pregame, the Avs score first. It's maybe not an early goal, but you get started within the first 10 minutes of the game.
Scoring first is scoring first whenever it happens.
So if you can get that start, that sets the tone. Like that is all we have asked this team to do in the last two games, is just find some way to set some sort of tone that doesn't come in the last 5 to 10 minutes. And Brent Burns spearheads that. And I think you get a lot of jump out of guys up and down the lineup because of that.
Yeah, I agree. The Avs came ready. They got the job done. It's not perfect, and we'll get into some of those details of that side of it too, but I don't know how you can't be anything but happy coming out of this game winning 5-0, regardless of how the sauce got made. You had two brutal games, and you bounced back in this one. So credit where credit's due for the Avs on that front. We'll get into the details, but first, let's hit the 60-second rundown so we can give you an overview of the game. The very first shift of the game was actually quite sloppy from Colorado. I think they had 2 or 3 turnovers in their own zone, but they don't pay the price for it. They get on the horse and they go take care of business. You mentioned Brent Burns potting the first goal of the game, and then the Avs follow that up with another one in the first period. That one coming from Nathan MacKinnon off his classic floater shot from out high. It's 2-0 after one. You put yourself in the driver's seat, and instead of like we've seen sometimes in the second period for the Avs this year of letting teams back into games, they come out and they immediately score again. Ross Colton makes it 2 games in a row with a puck in the back of the net. You love to see that. And the Avs do admittedly kick it into cruise control from there, but they do what they need to do defensively. Blackwood does what he needs to do in net, and you capitalize on the mistakes of Detroit as you get another one in the second period from MacKinnon, and then you get an extra one late from Parker Kelly for your 5-0 final. Pretty good timing. Not too bad on that one.
No.
We'll get into some of the individual players in a minute, but as a team, and I know you're going to see at the end of the game, the Avs got outshot 28-21 or whatever. That's completely a byproduct of this game being well in hand for Colorado as opposed to the Avs playing poorly. But I'll ask you this, Bailey. What is the most important aspect of this game, because I'm open to it being the Avs finishing their opportunities, but I'm also open to it being the Avs not chaining together their mistakes, whether that's you make a mistake and you get a save out of Blackwood, or you make a mistake and you work hard to recover a puck, or whatever it might be.
I'd probably lean toward the latter here too. It's when you look at a game like the last two and the effort's just not there, like you're giving up those mistakes and then there is no effort to get in front of them. You're leaving your goaltender out to dry. There's no sort of hustle to try and pick up that slack and move things the other way, tilt the stage at all. But you see that picked up in this game. You see a Cale Makar working back for his pucks. You see a Sam Linsky working back for his pucks. And even if you have some defensive lapses from a guy like a Brent Burns or a Keaton Middleton, Mackenzie Blackwood was solid in this game. And I mean, say what you will about his performance before this too, but like he played well during that game as well. Like he's had two fairly, put together games in this one, and this one stands out a little bit more because he's square to pucks. He's not giving an inch to Detroit. And there were some opportunities. There were. So that says a lot about a guy like a Mackenzie Blackwood who can stand tall. But I think there is that, give and take, that push and pull a little bit too when you've got guys like Cale Makar, guys like a Sam Linsky picking up that slack in front of him and making his job a heck of a lot easier. It's nice when everything clicks and everything's easier instead of everything being harder all the time. Oh gosh, again, you win games when you make things easier for yourself. Funny how that happens. But yeah, that's the kind of end all for me too. That again, you get some of those finished opportunities, and that's a huge part of it too. But I think I give more credit to the defensive end of this team here tonight. Hard not to give the defense credit when it's a shutout, and I know that's your goaltender too, of course, but you don't get a shutout by defending poorly and letting your goalie go crazy very often. So both sides of that earn that front on it. Chat's talking about it a little bit already. Marty Necas was scratched for this game with a lower body injury. They didn't really go into detail. Day to day doesn't sound particularly serious. The Necas thing is whatever it is. He didn't play tonight, fine. If he needs a rest, totally cool with it. But you get a pretty darn good game out of a top line that is MacKinnon, Nichushkin, Lehkonen. Yeah. Two defensive guys playing with a Nathan MacKinnon who decided he does know how to go and score tonight. So. Nice that Nathan MacKinnon picked it up. Definitely not complaining there. No. But is a game like this one for that top line a ticket to see more? Yes and no. I think it's one of those situations that's really hard to tell just because this is not a normal first line that we would generally see too. Like this is not a configuration that I think Avs fans or the team is something that they're looking at being particularly consistent. Yeah. I do think it speaks a lot to the next man up mentality of the group though, and being able to get some sort of push out of a Valeri Nichushkin. I do think there's maybe a shift in a brain like Nathan MacKinnon saying, okay, there's a little less help from where, transitioning the puck is concerned. And I don't have a guy who moves as well as I do playing next to me. So I have to kind of pick it up here and spearhead a lot of this. And that's a huge part of it too. But the next man up mentality is huge. The versatility, Nathan MacKinnon being paired again with Arturi Lehkonen, you get better game. Again, Victor Olofsson, that experiment was done and over with. And I thought when you saw Lehkonen move it up last game, you saw a little bit more come out of that first line. They're putting more shots on net, at least. And I think this was just kind of that next step for that duo specifically. Well, and I think very encouraging, obviously not just that they were good together, but with Necas out and Landy out, your two locked-in top six wingers are Lecky and Nichushkin. Has to be. And they move up to the top line, and you still see quality out of your depth guys, too. You get a goal out of Ross Colton, moved up to the second line. You get a goal out of Parker Kelly, however you want to define their bottom six. It's kind of just mix and match at any given moment. Right now.
But you're still getting that depth production when you move them up there, which I think is more of the concern maybe for the Avs than anything else of we don't want to overload the top of our lineup too much by doing this. And it wasn't a problem tonight.
No, not at all. And again, just speaks up to that next man up mentality of Ross Colton realizing that, I mean, it's been a huge 2 games back for a guy like him, which I think it does a lot for his confidence too. And again, another goal in a second game in a row where you see him really excited about it, and he deserves to be. But that just speaks to the voices and the leadership coming up and down this forward core, and what you can do when the mindset is in the same place.
Yeah, it's one of those things where do the Avs deserve credit for this game? Absolutely. They went out and did the job. You also don't want to give them too much credit because of the 2 struggling games that they had before this. I don't necessarily think this game was a must win or you absolutely have to play great or anything like that, but you did want to see a response out of the Avs. So I don't think it's too harsh to say this was the expectation for this game.
No, I do think it's funny. We put on the thumbnail, we're back. And I think that's a very, there's an argument to be had there.
Yeah.
I do think you bring up a good point in saying, it is hard to judge this team just based off of the amount of coasting they did in this game. And I don't think this is a game where you're looking top to bottom saying, oh, they're back. This is the Colorado Avalanche where we're used to saying, and that's crazy to say after a 5-0 win.
Right.
I realize that. But also, there was a lot of coasting. There was a lot of Detroit not capitalizing on their mistakes or being able to finish the puck.
Yeah.
So there's that as well. But this was still very much so a game where you see a lot of these guys maybe checked out more than they are expected to be. And while I do think there is that, checking out part of it too, there has to be some of the frustration there in saying, while we're checked out, while we're, waiting for this break to come up or quote unquote break for some of these guys, we know we can be better. We know that the quality of this team is better than the performances we've put up in Ottawa and in Montreal.
For sure.
So there's, I think, some of that push there to say, we can be better. We know we can be better, and they went and proved it.
There is 2 things can be true, as I say on this pod a lot. Did Detroit play their best game? No, absolutely not. But on top of that, the Avs did what they had to do to make Detroit go away, too. If Detroit's not playing their best game and the Avs headed into this third period up 1, up 2, you're going to get the full force of that team coming at you trying to win the game. Mm-hmm. Instead, you go into the third period up 4, and frankly, that period was academic. There were a bunch of dudes on both teams just ready to get this game over in that third period, which, great. That means the Avs get to save their legs. They can go do it again to Detroit in the next game here in Colorado. And, Detroit also saved their legs, to be fair. But on even fresh legs, you probably favor the Avs again.
I think I do favor the Avs again in a game like that too, but I do also wonder how much of Detroit we're going to get out of this next one.
Yep.
Because I can't imagine...
They can't be very happy.
Well, no, and for many different reasons too. Not only did they get collywhopped by the Colorado Avalanche, but they got collywhopped by a cruising Colorado Avalanche. So, if you're sitting there breaking down the details of this game, that's even more of a reason to be pissed with the way this one ended up. That you got whooped, and the Avs made it look easy. On Detroit's side, basically. Avs made it look easy while also again, we as Avs fans, we watch this team all the time, so we can sit there and say things like that because we see it all the time. And this was not a 100% operating Colorado Avalanche team.
No, that's not a knock on them. They earned that right in this game to put it into cruise control.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, that's the give and take, the risk and reward. You put yourself up, and you have the opportunity and the optimism of being able to look ahead in this game and say, you have that ability. You're
that good.
You can do this. Like, that's because you set yourself up well.
I want to get into a number of individuals on the Avs in this game, but we do need to take our first break of the show, so let's hit up some of our sponsors. Do you think the Wings should be sellers after that game? If you want to be a seller, get with Shopify. Shopify is the e-commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US. I know it pretty fondly because I use marketplace apps for things that I collect, and marketplace apps take a ton of fees and make life harder. You can use e-commerce like Shopify instead to avoid a large number of those fees and get yourself set up with your own customized storefront. Shopify has got you covered with website creation, product descriptions, email and social media marketing, and more. They also have AI tools designed to help you maximize sales. They are even powering the DNVR merch store. You can go get an All Hail Kale or something like that thanks to Shopify. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into cha-ching with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/allcity. That's shopify.com/allcity. Cha-ching. Once you've got your Shopify set up, you're going to want to be buying some food too, because selling makes you hungry. And the best wings in Denver are Fire on the Mountain. You want to get with them, not just for their hormone-free, antibiotic-free, cage-free wings, but for their 15 delicious sauces, all made from scratch, all the way from mild to insanely hot. Whatever your spicy level, they've got something for you at Fire on the Mountain. They have incredible craft beer as well and a killer cocktail list. They have walkable and bikeable locations if you live downtown. They even have more than wings, like Wagyu beef burgers and vegan options. So something for everyone at Fire on the Mountain. They do monthly specials as well, and then you can get $5 pints on Mondays and all-day happy hour on Tuesdays. You can even try the El Jefe Challenge if you want to do the hot, spicy wing eating challenge. That's what it is. You don't even have to go there necessarily. Their Wash Park location now offers delivery, so you can get it ordered, but hit up one of their 2 stores, get in with them at Highlands or Wash Park, and get the best wings in Denver today at Fire on the Mountain. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by Bet365. Getting into our 3 stars of the game, though I do think we'll have a number of other players outside the 3 stars to talk about as well. Mm-hmm. Star number 3, I went with Artturi Lehkonen in large part what we talked about in that first period. And we saw even last game where the Avs weren't necessarily playing well. When it comes down to it, the Avs go back to what they know works, and that's a top-line Artturi Lehkonen next to Nathan MacKinnon. He picks up a couple of assists tonight doing that job. You're getting the offensive production there. And Bailey, you mentioned it, and this is honestly maybe more important than the production to me. Someone with a little defensive responsibility on that top line.
No, there's something to be said to not just about the defensive side of that line too, which is a huge part of it. And I think when you have that, it gives Nathan MacKinnon a little more leash to go and be Nathan MacKinnon.
Yep.
I think you don't see a guy who's like, obviously everybody's got to play defense, right? But you see a Nathan MacKinnon who's maybe not as worried about leaving that backside out to dry a little bit.
Yeah.
When you have an Artturi Lehkonen out there. But there's also something to be said too. I think you make a great point in saying, like, adding an Artturi Lehkonen back to the top line elevates his game.
It does.
Like,
yep.
you see how much chemistry exists between a guy like him and Nathan MacKinnon. And they seem to have each other kind of mapped out and telegraphed out.
Yep. They
know where each other's going to be. And I think that's huge in being able to put up an effective hockey game. And it shows. Again, like I mentioned in the last 2 games where you see these guys paired back together, you see that elevate a game like Nathan MacKinnon's. You see that elevate a game like Artturi Lehkonen's, and it shows tonight with a 2-assist performance.
When it's making everybody better, it's a good thing.
Absolutely.
I'd consider sticking with it. Second star goes to Mackenzie Blackwood.
Oh, okay.
28 save shutout.
All right.
He probably deserved one a few games ago against Toronto. Didn't get that one. The Avs are actually able to close this one out for him. Good to see. Deserved it. But also, similar to the conversation we had with Ross Colton, you want these games to keep rolling in, right? You want the confidence to be building for the Colorado Avalanche right now, not just as a team, but as individuals. And you see a bad game from Wedgwood the other night, and you can relax a little bit. You can take that breath and say, hey, Wedgwood had a bad one. Blackwood comes in and locks it down. You're not too worried about individual poor performances in net if you know you have that next guy up.
Absolutely. No. All of the credit in the world to a Mackenzie Blackwood, who regardless of a performance, I have a feeling I know who first star is, should probably deserved a first star. Yeah. Or maybe if you're looking at a dumbed down performance from your first star, he absolutely gets that first star. I mean, could go either way.
I mean, if not for a milestone, right, Blackwood probably would have been my first star pick.
Fair.
So,
but that's, I mean, the mindset that this team has gone into this season with is there is no worry about who they have in net. And even when you get a bad game out of a Scott Wedgwood, your next goaltender is probably coming into the next game realizing that and realizing they need to be on their A game. And that is what makes this tandem, I think, so important to me and so special to me, is they are each other's champions. So I have no doubt that Scott's looking at a Mackenzie Blackwood being like, dude, you're doing great out there. Like, this is awesome. I'm so happy you're having a great game. He's not even thinking about the, horrible performance that he put up the other night, just because he's so excited for his team and for his tandem partner to be doing so well. And I promise you, next time Scott Wedgwood's in net, Mackenzie Blackwood's going to be doing that same exact thing, like chirping him and as they do, and being super excited. But that's the exciting thing. Just bringing it full circle around about this tandem is, when you're getting a bad performance out of one of them, you're coming into the next game and likely getting a lights out performance from the next one. That is the kind of confidence this team reads off of. Yep. You're looking at a Nathan MacKinnon, a Cale Makar, and Sam Malinsky, who's looking behind them and saying, with the way he's playing, it's not as though he's taking a whole lot of shots, but he's shutting down everything he is seeing.
It's one of those chicken and egg situations, right? Did Detroit shoot the puck very well tonight?
Nope.
No. But as part of the reason Detroit didn't shoot the puck very well tonight is because Blackwood was stopping everything and Detroit was overthinking it and trying to pick corners? Maybe.
Probably. It's not as though to say, too, yes, maybe the quality chances were not there from a team like Detroit. But at the same time, Mackenzie Blackwood's not a small guy.
Yeah, so not a lot to shoot at.
Right. So he doesn't give very much leeway in situations. When he's square, when he's on his game, he's a very intimidating guy to face in net.
Yep. It's nice to have some reliability in your net, even when not every night's going to be perfect, but compared to a number of seasons from the Avs, to be honest, not that the Avs have had plenty of good goaltenders over the years, but inconsistency in net for other reasons, maybe injuries and stuff like that, which, injuries have cropped up with these goaltenders too, but it's never been anything long term. So you've been able to run them.
I'm going to say this too, with making sure I preface my wording and saying one of, but this is easily one of the best tandems this team has seen. I think when you're looking at a 1 and 2 with the way they've been performing.
I mean, obviously Kemper and Francouz won a cup, so they got to go do that probably.
But that's why I prefaced in saying one of. It's hard to beat that.
Yeah, for sure.
But looking at the tandem and the way they've been performing, it's hard not to love based on, in recent seasons past, barring that 22 cup run, that this is one of the better tandems this team has been able to put up.
Definitely. Over the past decade, for sure. Maybe the entire course of the Avs history, to be honest. Star number 1 goes to Nathan MacKinnon. Pots 2 goals and is the first player in the NHL to 40 goals on the season with, 29 games remaining? I think that's right. Yeah. MacKinnon certainly on pace to set a career high in goals this season.
The Avs may not be back, but Nathan MacKinnon certainly is. I will lean into that tonight gladly.
And this is... Did Nathan MacKinnon have the A++ game? No.
Oh.
But this is the game that you get from Nathan MacKinnon that makes you not worry.
Yeah.
Because he absolutely took the last 2 games off. Had no interest in doing good hockey things for 2 straight games.
Yep.
And then he has a game like this where the switch gets flipped. Again, it's not, you got the switch dimmer where maybe it hit 80%, 90% today. But MacKinnon has always been a guy that has this in him where you don't worry about him slumping. You don't worry about his ability to get himself back involved when he's had a bit of a down stretch. He's always been able to do this and show up at the end of the day.
I've definitely been worried the last 5 games. So I don't know if I would say no worry, but
I wasn't worried then. I'll speak for myself.
No, context matters
Yeah.
here too. I think it's huge when you're looking at the first Olympics in a while that these guys are able to go and represent their countries. So that's a huge part of it. At the same time, I go back to my conversation and saying, this is what is expected of your superstars.
Yep.
This is what is expected of a guy like Nathan
Absolutely the
MacKinnon. If
expectation.
you are not getting a 100% game out of your top guy, you're still expecting him to put up multi-goal performances or at least multi-point performances.
Yep.
That is what it means to be a superstar, not just on the Colorado Avalanche, but in the league. You're talking about who is arguably one of the best players, if not, some people would say he's the best player in the league. That's an argument for another show or another time, whatever. But one of the best players in the world.
Yeah, we
finally finding his groove again. That is the expectation for a guy like Nathan MacKinnon.
The NHL has evolved. We're a decade beyond Jamie Benn winning an Art Ross with 87 points. Today's NHL, the best players in the world put up 120 plus points.
Yep.
You have to put up those big productive numbers. Nate rolls over the 90-point mark today as well as the 40 goals, so he's easily pacing on that front. Nathan MacKinnon is a truly special player, and that's why this last stretch has been so frustrating from him.
Yeah.
So it's good to see him get back to it.
No, that's why I sit there and look at the last couple games and he's capable of this. You know this is the kind of game that Nathan MacKinnon is asked about, and he's like, oh yeah, we did great as a team without giving any sort of credit to himself. But that's how he's contributing, is putting up those multi-point nights and being able to inspire that out of the rest of his teammates. We talked about it on the post-game show the other day, is when you're getting a 5% Nathan MacKinnon, that's likely going to trickle down the lineup. Yep. You got maybe not a 100% Nathan MacKinnon, but you got enough. Yeah. And you see that come from guys like a Ross Colton, guys like a Parker Kelly, guy getting back on the board and being able to put up these incredible runs. And it is a trickle-down effect with a guy like Nathan MacKinnon. It's nice to see him back.
It is.
Or at least a good version of him.
Look, there's a lot of ways to look at a hockey game. But one way you can look at the last 2 hockey games. Last game, you got a goal from your 4th, 3rd, and 2nd lines. What were you missing? Your top line producing. Tonight, you get those top line goals, and you also get it from your depth lines. And ultimately, at the end of the game, it's a blowout.
Yep.
There
is a correlation here.
I don't know if there's causation, but there's certainly correlation at that point.
Yeah. So again, moral of the story is the expectation is for a guy like Nathan MacKinnon to maybe not put up 2 goals every game, but to put up points and to get on the score sheet, to inspire everybody around him. And he did that here tonight.
All right. Let's talk about a couple of other players that didn't make the 3 stars, but are worth talking about. Starting with Brent Burns. Best game in weeks for that guy. Man, was he good tonight.
I still think, too, though. I don't know. It's his best game in a while. For sure. But there's still some breakdowns here that I'm a little, obviously it's really hard for somebody to put up a full, an on paper full 60 performance.
Yep. Yeah, there are a shift or 2 in the defensive zone where you're like, oh, don't love that.
Yeah.
But I think you can understand the player and you can live with some of that when one, you're getting offense out of him, starts the scoring for the Avs in this game. It's a great shot, awesome play. He jumps up into it. All of that I love. And two, yes, he still has some puck management issue-y iffy
That's
stuff.
just Brent Burns, though.
He would kept the play in front of him much, much, much better defensively tonight. Multiple 2-on-1s that he was the guy back and were not his fault. And even broke one of them up pretty effectively. That version of Brent Burns will absolutely play in the playoffs. That version of Brent Burns, I am not worried about.
Nope.
We need to see more of that, though.
Absolutely. And especially when you're looking at pairings as a whole. He absolutely outperformed a guy like Josh Manson.
Low-key wasn't very good today.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd even go as far to say low-key. Like, he just straight up, like, I'm looking at possession numbers here, and it wasn't great.
Yeah.
For a guy like him. So you kind of have to, like, that's the give and take that you expect.
Yeah.
Is a game like tonight, where your defensive partner is maybe not performing up to standard, up to expectations, or at least what you would like to see. And Brent Burns steps it up. He steps into plays. He leans into what he is good at. He is a shot volume guy who can put pucks on net. They may not be super quality shots all of the time. You're going to get one every now and again, and that's what this one ended up being. But that's what you expect out of a guy like Brent Burns, is to step up into the play offensively and to be a big body with a long reach in the defensive zone to be able to keep the plays like the plays he did tonight in front of him. That is the expectation. You have to be able to pick up some of that slack. And again, you got a shift or two where maybe you're seeing, classic Brent Burns things slip out. Maybe he's a little slow to turn and kind of breaking down a little bit in front of the net. But overall, like, you can sit there and say, like, this is one of Brent Burns' best games so far.
In a while, for sure. Yeah. I think I really like the example of Brent Burns tonight because no one has ever played a perfect hockey game.
No.
Not possible. Mistakes are going to crop up, even from your best players. If Nathan MacKinnon had played a perfect hockey game, he'd have had a hat trick in this game.
Yeah.
He doesn't have it. So those mistakes crop up. And that's where a team goes from you have really good players to you're a great team, is when Brent Burns makes a mistake. Someone else makes that next play. You're talking about Brent Burns stepping up for a poor game from Josh Manson, and it's all the way down the line of, okay, when Brent Burns makes a mistake, Mackenzie Blackwood makes the save. When Sam Malinsky makes a mistake, Arturi Lehkonen gets back as a forward and makes the defensive play, top to bottom.
Yeah.
You're picking each other up.
Yep. No, and when you have a team performing like that on a cohesive unit, like, that's... You may not be getting 100% Colorado Avalanche, but you're at least getting some sort of good product when that communication, when that, I'm going to pick up after my guy, make sure I'm sound positionally, and that's how you win games.
Yep.
You need to be able to rely on the next man up.
Yep. That's exactly right. We need to take our second break of the show. We got more guys to talk about, but let's hear from our sponsors. Imagine Wi-Fi that makes everything in your home work together, that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them. Like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a 6th sense, and it lets you stream the game even when the whole family is online. That is Xfinity Wi-Fi, and it comes with the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. What if you could have reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi and keep it at the same price for 5 years? That's what you get with Xfinity. And here's the best part. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and Xfinity's best equipment all come included. Take it from me, a lot can change in 5 years. Championships get won, records are broken, dreams grow bigger, but what about your Wi-Fi? It should stay reliable, and the price should stay put. You can lock in your price and unlock possibilities with Xfinity. You can learn more at Xfinity.com. Of course, select plans only. Restrictions apply, but lock in your 5-year price guarantee today. That's Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. And once you've got your Wi-Fi set up, make sure you also have your home ready to be protected too. You can get with new built restoration and construction if something bad does happen, or, if you just need something built, they also do that. But they focus on the restoration side of things. They're licensed general contractors who can help with any project, big or small, and they're available 24/7 because they truly care about being there for their customers. If you do have something go wrong, they will even work with your insurance to make sure a stressful process is as smooth as possible. They offer a number of different services, including fire damage, water damage, mold removal, repair services, and even work on commercial projects if that's what you need. So get with New Built Restoration and Construction today. They're true DNVR fans, and we're excited to support their business on that side too. When that home emergency hits, New Built Restoration and Construction will be there at newbuilt.com. That's NUBILT.com. Or you can call 720-903-4254 and let them know DNVR sent you. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast, presented by Bet365. A little bit of housekeeping here. Keaton Middleton did get reassigned to the Colorado Eagles after the game, and the Eagles don't play again until the NHL is on the Olympic break. So it will not be Keaton Middleton playing these last two games before the break for the Avs. I don't know necessarily if that means it's Toews or Achan. We'll see, but likely one of those two.
I think it is promising looking at the personnel on this road trip and realizing that Devon Toews was on this road trip. There was a very good chance that he could have played in today's game. And ultimately, that's just not how it shakes out. Whatever. If you can give him that little bit of extra rest, that's fine by me. I do think it is promising, though. He'll be traveling back with the team. Very well could play on Monday against Detroit. So that is really good things to see. There's no practice when they get back tomorrow. But very well could see, as much as I do appreciate that it's not, unfortunately, going to be Keaton Middleton. I hate to say it that way. But I think there's more trust in a guy like Jack Achan, even if Devon Toews is not ready.
I think so.
I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, if Devon Toews doesn't play these last two games heading into the break, I'm not mad about it. Sure.
At this point, whatever is best for Toews is the option you want. This slump the Avs are in made you think about these last three games more, and I would like to see the Avs win their two remaining games, of course.
Absolutely.
But you care about Toews being healthy in March, April, May, June.
Mm-hmm.
And if two more games off now means he's 100% going into the Olympics and can keep himself healthy there, that's totally fine.
Again, that's if he plays in the Olympics.
I think the kid is going to come and he's going to go. I think that's what's going to happen.
So, I hope that's the case, because this opportunity only comes around once in a blue moon.
For sure.
You only get so many opportunities to represent your country, let alone at the Olympics.
Yep.
So, I do think it's huge, and I do hope he has the opportunity to go, barring that everything with his family works out in his favor.
Yep.
But I think I am more on the side of, if the Avs can play like this, the Avs can play cohesive 70% hockey or 80% hockey, or however you want to look at this game, and can pull wins out of the next two games, I'm even more fine with a Devon Toews not being there, because this kind of game is evident. Yes, you're not getting the best version of the Detroit Red Wings by any means, but at the same time, you're getting cohesive defensive units on the backside of the puck.
Also, that's allowed to happen. I know everyone's been bringing their A game this year against the Avs, but it turns out other teams can have bad nights too.
Yes.
And the Avs took advantage of that.
No.
Good job.
That is huge. And if you can do that two more times with Devon Toews out of your lineup, I am totally fine with him not continuing to be scratched or continuing to sit out of the lineup for these next two.
All right, folks, it's obligatory. Let's talk about special teams time. Penalty kill, very, very good today.
You expect it to be after the last two.
For sure.
You need it to go 100%.
Power play. Didn't score. Was it actually looked good? Mm-hmm. Didn't score, and Nathan MacKinnon really should have scored, but didn't score. Your power play percentage, your net power play percentage might actually be 10% flat now after today.
We made the joke to start out the show. Marty Necas You get, a decent performance from the Avs without him in the lineup. You also get a somewhat decent power play performance without him in the lineup.
It's true.
And part of that, while I love what Martin Necas does with the puck at 5-on-5, I do love the way that he moves the puck, creates a lot of space for himself, creates dangerous shots. That's awesome. That kind of play is not always loved when you come to the power play and you're looking for fast moving, fast passing, looking for quality and volume shots on net.
Yep.
He does not always produce those. And I hate to say it because I do think he is dangerous when he wants to be. Key phrase, when he wants to be. But I also don't think it's any sort of coincidence that we're maybe seeing, maybe like you're not seeing a guy who holds on to the puck as long as a Martin Necas does, and you're seeing some more passing, some more shooting, and chances getting on net.
It's an interesting balance because I really don't have a problem with MacKinnon and Necas together at 5-on-5. I think it's working quite well when they try.
Yeah.
But then you look at the power play, and it almost feels like there's only one puck out there, right? Mm-hmm. You can only have so much talent out there. You can only have so many guys working with the puck. Mm-hmm. And while the power play itself didn't score today, I think we maybe saw some of the symptoms of why their power play is struggling in some of the other goals scored. Nathan MacKinnon's first goal. That goal goes in because Val Nichushkin is a perfect screen in front. Mm-hmm. John Gibson never sees that puck.
Right.
And I think we've seen the Avs struggle with their power play unit of doing things like taking the eyes away from the goalie, doing things like being a net front presence, abilities to get rebounds and close that gap. I don't know that there's been enough effectiveness of this because for as good of players as guys like Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar, and Marty Necas are, those are not the guys that get into the dirty areas and clean up the rebounds. You're also running Brock Nelson on that unit, who is a shooter, and Brock Nelson does a decent job of getting that rebound stuff. He had one today he should have scored and didn't.
Yep.
But you maybe free up Brock to do a little bit more of that instead of being a sniper on your power play when you don't necessarily have Necas out there and everyone's collapsing in and doing the same roles, I guess is the word I'm looking for. I wonder if a Nichushkin on power play 1 is something you do keep running.
There's a reason that so many people were so excited when they made that shift towards the beginning of the season, seeing Nichushkin get elevated to that first unit. I do think it's also a good point in noting where was Arturi Lehkonen? What was Arturi Lehkonen kind of producing during these power plays as well? So, like, trying to create a little bit more in the middle. So there's
it's a love-hate relationship with Lecky in the middle.
It is. Like, you see him fan on a lot, and that's not always, great. But it's situations like that. If you can ramp up that finishing just a little bit, Lecky would be so much more productive on the man advantage. And I only hope that's something that they continue to talk about, and that's ongoing conversation with Arturi Lehkonen and whoever is running the power play, because that's all it is right now is just hope.
Yeah.
The hopium
mostly
is strong.
Hopium. Yeah, you're right.
But I do, it's a good point in looking at, what a Nichushkin, ideally an Arturi Lehkonen could be providing on these top units, and maybe moving around with seeing a Martin Necas provide a different role on a lower unit, which also makes it a little difficult too. I know we talked a little bit about on our off day show yesterday, but in looking at the roles and looking at how much the power play or the first power play unit is deployed, how much time is a Martin Necas actually getting on that second power play unit to be effective?
I don't even know necessarily that you have to demote Necas to the second power play, but I think this is another area where maybe running the same guys is getting a little bit too stale. And you can look at Jared Bednar to bust out the blender on your special teams too. You give a power play to the MacKinnon Necas group, and if they don't look very good, the next one you throw Val over the boards with MacKinnon or whatever it is, and you can have that rotation. It doesn't need to be a clear-cut thing.
Right. You see him do it all the time, 5-on-5.
Yeah. I'm not going to pretend like I know what an NHL coach is thinking. But at this point, I'm willing to try anything on the Avs power play to get it to score. So
yeah, short of sacrifice, we're looking for anything at this point.
Yep. Look, sacrifice is not entirely off the table. All right.
There we go. All right. I did want to ask too. I don't know if there's anything more to talk about on the special teams side of things, but we talked a little bit about our depth.
Yep.
Or at least seeing the depth in this game. Who are you more excited for as far as recent production? A Ross Colton.
Yep.
2 goals in 2 games. Or a Parker Kelly with 3 and 5, which is, a really good run for a guy like him.
Yeah, Parker has been really, really good as of late. Another guy, could have been a 2-goal game for him. He hits a post early in the game in the first period that doesn't go in for him. And Parker Kelly's having a career year offensively. It's really nice to see. I don't know that I'd call it a breakout, but it's great to see him working hard and things going his way, especially when you look at how he's bounced around the lineup. 4th line, 3rd line, center, wing. Every day it feels like you don't know where Parker Kelly's going to be in the lineup, and he's still finding ways to be effective. And it's something I've talked about a lot with someone like Bardakov. If you want to be an everyday NHL forward, you have to produce. You have to be able to put the puck in the back of the net. And Parker Kelly has done that at an extremely high rate. And I think I'm more excited about Parker Kelly's last little stretch, but it is genuinely huge for the Avs if they can get Ross Colton scoring somewhat consistently again. However you feel about it, whether that's because you want Ross Colton on the team and he's an effective player, or because you want to raise his trade value. Either path. Huge for the Avs to see him get back into things.
It is 2 sides of the same coin with a guy like a Ross Colton, because you look at what he's contributed in his Avs career, and he's been a gritty guy, but these scoring slumps have really hurt him.
This is not his first
team.
Big stretch.
No.
And thankfully he's out of it now, but.
And I do think it is very interesting when you sit and debate exactly why this might be a better situation for Ross Colton. Because that trade piece is interesting, but he loves it. Like, him and Parker Kelly have been, thick as thieves since, they've both been on this roster. Has found a lot of good chemistry. I think even when you're seeing him off the score sheet, doing a lot of the right things mechanically on the ice. But as we mentioned, a huge confidence player. And if you're looking at getting your depth firing on all cylinders, that's not just talking about a guy like a Parker Kelly. That's not just talking about making a better player out of a guy like Zakhar Bardakov. That's not just talking about maybe, what does it look like when you get an LOC back and he's firing too, but that's looking at guys like Ross Colton who are known for these stretches. And if he stays on this team, if he's looking to contribute to a Stanley Cup run this season, you have to get performances out of him. You need to be able to expect that. Maybe 1 goal a game is a little ambitious for a guy like him. I think this is. I don't think that's far fetched to say, but I do think if you're looking at on a more consistent stretch of things, being able to expect more than just a point every couple games, like that's huge for a guy like Ross Colton and for the team.
Yeah. You need depth to win championships. The Avs have championships depth. The truth is you won't know that until someone wins the Stanley Cup, and then that team had championship depth. But you need to give yourself the best opportunity to have that championship caliber depth. Is that Ross Colton or is that a move at the deadline? I'm not going to pretend to have the answer for you. But when you see a guy that is capable of what Ross Colton is at his best, that's championship depth. He literally won a Stanley Cup in Tampa Bay as depth.
Yeah.
He's capable of it. And it's about getting it out of him when you need it. And frankly, given the last handful of games from the Avs needed it right now. Yep. And Ross Colton gave it to him.
Yeah. That's all you can ask, especially looking at a game like against Montreal when, they're somewhat meaningless. Like there's not a whole lot of, meaning to getting some of that out of those guys. But that's huge in, setting some sort of foundation for a guy like a Ross Colton. Even if they maybe aren't goals that amount to anything, he still scored.
He did.
That's something to boost his confidence, to get back on the score sheet more and more and more. Next time you do it in a game that does matter.
Yeah.
That's the next step for a guy like a Ross Colton, and that's the trajectory that he's been on. And it is unfortunate when you look at this specific stretch in the schedule.
Sure.
Because you'd love to see, okay, what does he do with 10 more games?
Nope, 3-week break.
Yeah, right. So that's the unfortunate part for a guy like him. But you have to hope that, I mean, the break doesn't do anything to break his mojo, and he can continue this. And that starts with the next 2 games, right?
Sure.
Like, you need to be able to see that consistency for the next 2 before the break hits. And that's, I think, going to set a lot of the tone, not just for us as people who watch the Avs, but for a guy like Ross Colton who's looking to kind of gauge his performance.
Yep. The version of the Avs you got tonight is the version where, you know what? They don't miss Landy. They don't miss Toews as much. Of course, they still miss them. But you're not like, oh, my God, we got to get these guys back into the lineup tomorrow. Like, you're not freaking out about it. And we just have not seen enough of that across this stretch for Colorado, where losses to a team like an Ottawa, losses to a team like a Nashville, the Avs are better as constructed without Landy and Toews, and finally seeing a little bit of proof of that does help. I do worry, and we touched on this on the watch along, through this stretch, a lot of the Avs wins, other than pretty much the Washington game, the Avs are winning blowouts. You never want the Avs to give up goals.
No, never.
I'm not saying I want the Avs to play worse, but is there something about the Avs needing to play some close games and win some games close?
I think that's huge. And it's something that you saw a lot of the team speak to in the locker room and talking about that resiliency, being able to not just stay in games and get points out of them.
Yep.
Obviously stacking those 1 point shootout or
better than no
losses.
points.
Like 1 point is better than 0.
Yeah.
That is just basic math. But that resiliency is huge, especially down the stretch when you're looking at teams maybe trying to be a little more competitive. A lot of other teams are coming out of their slumps too. You need to be able to pick that up, and a lot of that could come down to those 1 points that you're maybe dropping in an overtime situation, or not taking advantage of, maybe a team turtling in the third period and being able to, put in some empty net goals in a 1-goal game and, extending that for yourself. That's going to be huge, especially after the Olympic break hits, where you're looking to officially stamp your iteration of the team and what you're looking at as far as this team's narrative goes. That's going to be huge.
Yeah, it's the Avs trade deadline situation is interesting. I mean, everyone's trade deadline situation is interesting this year, but Colorado has 2 very clear-cut things that they need that should both be reasonably affordable. Mm-hmm. That being a 3C and a left-handed D. I wonder if you look at a portion of this season like this, you have 2 games left until the break. The Avs at times have been looking for reasons to motivate themselves for games. Is winning these last couple of games before the break maybe hey, just a reminder, we're a pretty good team. If you wanna think about maybe getting traded here,
it's a morale booster for sure. And that's what has been so frustrating about the last 2 before this one for me, is that that plays a part in it. I think, yes, confidence is huge when you're looking at players going into the break and, kind of stamping that defining, we are the Colorado Avalanche mark on every single team you face. I miss watching an Avs team like that. But I think that does play a huge part in saying it. The East is obviously a little more desirable when it comes down to trade situations. A lot of people prefer like the easier travel schedule and things of that sort. But there is something to be said about, maybe you're sacrificing a little bit. There's a little give and take for playing for the best team in the league, even if it is as a rental situation, which I don't know how beneficial that would be to the Avs.
Yeah, I mean,
it really
we
just
won't know
depends
their
on how
moves
you
until
look at
they
it.
make their moves. Yeah,
but there is something to be said about showing off what you are capable of without just cashing it in ahead of the break, just to show off and say, like, just a reminder, everybody, guys, I know it hasn't looked like it in the last 10 games, but we're the best team in the league. Yeah. Like, this is a place to be. Like, we're making a decent run, and we could use your help if you want to be here, So,
Avs 81 points, first team to 80 points, which we knew was coming. One more thing that I wanted to dive into here, and then we can start winding down the show. When you look at this game, when you look at Detroit, obviously they didn't play great today. I'm not trying to say they were a tough opponent for the Avs with how they played today. But does this game tell you that Detroit's are frauds, or does it tell you that the Avs are going to bop you if you don't bring the good stuff?
This is a team that knows how to capitalize on mistakes, and that is, I think, what you see out of a team like Detroit. You did not get the best hockey imaginable. This was a very uncharacteristic game as far as my expectations go. Again, when you come into games like this, regardless of the slump that the Avs have been on the last couple of games, you're looking at getting the best out of your opponent, and that's straight up just not what happened today.
Not particularly close.
So, you're not getting the best out of a Detroit Red Wings. Do I expect more of that maybe best on best type situation? You're seeing the best out of a Detroit on Monday? Absolutely. Yeah. Especially with the way they lost to the Avs
they should be
tonight.
Motivated.
So, there's that factor in there, but there's something to be said, and coaches realize this all the time when they do their scouting reports ahead of games. You give Colorado an inch and they will take a mile. Yep. That is just what it doesn't matter. If you are getting a Colorado team that is firing at more than half, or at least, you are getting a team that's going to make you pay for your mistakes. It doesn't matter where you are on the ice. You've got really good goaltending to get behind. You also have the best defenseman on the planet back there, spearheading what is, again, a really deep blue line. You have a forward core made up of really, really dangerous offensive pieces, but also guys who can play on the defensive side of the puck and be dangerous that way as well. This is a three-headed monster as far as, any NHL team is concerned. You can't make mistakes like Detroit did today. So that is a huge part of it.
All right. I think we have one super chat to get to here. $2 from Ryan, who says, Olofsson to the Shadow Realm, things work. Who knew?
Yeah, funny how that works out when you realize, or at least eventually, that experiment did not work.
Clearly didn't work on the top line. And, I think Olofsson, things are a little bit all over the place on. I've mentioned, some people have been overly critical of him. He's actually producing at a pretty fine rate across the course of the season, even if it has come in bunches more than you would like consistently. When you put him in a third line scoring role, I do think he does a better job of what he needs to do. But also, if you're seeing a Ross Colton turn his game back on and you want to keep him, Victor Olofsson might be the guy you look at to move for a piece.
I can't imagine, especially the expectation versus reality when it comes to a Victor Olofsson. Like that's the biggest piece for me, is how is he not one of the first pieces you're looking at when it comes to potentially holding on to a more consistent Ross Colton.
Yeah, a totally fair look at that. And obviously everyone has their own thoughts on exactly how the Avs should be constructed. I don't think you're too worried about, if you keep Ross and Olofsson, you feel fine. Like, that's not a bad thing. This is not addition by subtraction necessarily. It's just the understanding that you have to give up a decent something to get a decent something. Mm-hmm. And those guys have some value. If it's value directly to the Avs and they're still on their lineup after the trade deadline, great. I'm good with that.
Cool. Yep.
So they also need to fit into the lineup where they need to be. And We now understand that the top line is not where Olofsson needs to be.
No, that there's something to be said about roles here as well. And when you look at a top line with no Netjes, they filled that role Nichushkin did his part on that top line. You know, when you're putting Nathan MacKinnon and Arturi Lehkonen together, you're going to get at least something serviceable, if not magical, in certain games too. And that is just those two roles that you get out of a Nichushkin or a Lehkonen. You just can't piece a guy like Victor Olofsson there. That's just not how he works. Yeah. And it's not just because, like, we talk all the time about a Nathan MacKinnon elevating the guys he's on a line with. Like, that is no slouch, no strain. Like, nobody who watches this team can say that he doesn't. Right. But at the same time, Victor Olofsson, that's just not how he operates.
Yep. It's
easy as that.
Big E would always say there are players that know how to play with top guys and there are players that don't know how to do it. Lecky knows how to do it.
Yep. Easy as that. Victor Olofsson, it's not hard to say that is just not his forte.
Yep.
And that is okay.
Yeah,
like I
totally
want
fine.
to I want to reiterate that does not necessarily mean that Victor Olofsson is a horrible player. He is a really good depth addition on a lot of teams. He just for some reason hasn't been able to figure it out to the fullest extent with the Avs.
Yep. We can call it there. We're going to be off tomorrow, but we'll be back Monday. It is a takeover game. There will still be a pregame and a postgame, but no watch along on Monday. So I think you guys are already talking about it in chat. You can have a chat in our postgame chat while it's preview for the actual go live time if you want to put that together for yourselves. But we appreciate all of y'all listening. This has been the DNVR Avalanche postgame show presented by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.